Alright, let's do 1C. Same idea, yet again. Gonna graph and write an equation at the same time. So, first thing we know is we have a hole at x equals positive 1. So I'll give myself a little tick mark, put a little circle there to remind me I have a hole. Write in the equation, y equals, if I have a hole at positive 1, I need a factor of x minus 1 in the top and a factor of x minus 1 in the bottom. So we get that right there. Next thing we're told is that we have a vertical asymptote at x equals negative 1/4, which means I need to have a factor of x plus 1/4 in the numerator. So let's give myself a tick mark of 1, and then let's, to the best of our ability, estimate this asymptote in roughly at negative 1/4. That's a very poorly drawn asymptote, but you get the idea. Next, we're told we have an x-intercept at negative 3/2. So I'm going to do a little redrawing real quick. Alright, so doing this a little more to scale, each of those big tick marks is now 1, each little one is 1/4. So I've got my vertical asymptote at negative 1/4. I got my hole at positive 1. I can show my other tick marks if I want to. And then I need an x-intercept at negative 3/2, so negative 1.5, so that's going to put me right here. Horizontal asymptote again at the x-axis. I should put my x-intercept in there. So it's at negative 3/2, which means I need an x plus 3/2 in the top right there. Alright, currently this thing would have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0, and I need one at the x-axis, which means I need the degree of the denominator to be larger. So why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's increase the power on the x plus 1/4. Let's make it a power of 2. Could have made it 3, could have made it 4, could have made it anything, but I decided to do 2 this time since I did 3 on the last video. So we're going to play the same game as we did before. We need to figure out where to start. And where do I start? Well, let's look at what happens really, really far to the right. So big positive x values. If I plug in a big positive x value, each of these factors is going to be a positive number, which means my graph is going to be positive numbers, which means I'm going to look like that. If I want to then go to the other side of the asymptote, now I need to acknowledge that that asymptote has an even multiplicity, which means I need to start up, since on the right I'm up. So, anytime the multiplicity is even, on either side of the vertical asymptote, your tails will be in the same direction, either both up or both down. So since the right one is up, the left one also needs to be up. Then I have to come down, I have to approach that x-intercept, and since the multiplicity on the factor creating that x-intercept is 1, I will cross through to the underside, and then I will kind of curve up and approach y equals 0 from the bottom side, because I do have that horizontal asymptote. So this graph is going to look something like that. And should be good. Again, yours might be different. Just make sure it's correct.